If it's stock car blood that runs through your veins, the 2.5-mile oval in Daytona Beach calls your name. If you grew up driving in circles with no fenders on your car, your dreams begin and end in Indianapolis. But if you believe that real racing starts in the dirt, that all four wheels don't really need to stay in contact with the ground, and if 4 wide at 100 miles an hour from a standing start sounds like a good idea to you, then today is your lucky day. TORC, the Off-Road Championship, takes over Crandon International Raceway, the mecca of short course, door-to-door, high-flying, top-speed, heart-pounding, non-stop off-road racing. Today, the young phenoms match up against the wily veterans who have so many laps around Crandon in its 45-year history that it might as well be their backyard. But will experience outpace exuberance when the only way through turn 1 is with both the throttle and your courage pinned? You're about to find out. TORC at the Big House starts now. It's partly cloudy, windy with a chance of rain, but I guarantee you're going to see a brawl today. We're in Crandon, Wisconsin for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. Hi everyone, welcome to the Big House, the Big House Brawl. I am Robbie Floyd. This is the 3-time TORC champion, Ricky Johnson. And RJ, we're done with the bull rings, the fish tanks, all that racing in that tight confine. Now we spread it out here at Crandon at the Big House. We have so much more to work with.
If you're a motocross or supercross fan, this is what you're looking for. The races in Chicago, very much like a supercross, tight quarters. Here at Crandon, we start with a land rush start them side by side. They come into the turn at 100 miles an hour. We're gonna see some of this racing where they're gonna be 5 lanes wide. So the intensity is high, the speed is high. That's why they call it the Big House.
And the history as well. When you think of short course off-road racing, you think of Crandon. You have to come here. It's legendary.
Absolutely. If you're a short course racer, you got to come here. If you're a short course fan, you have to see it in person. Kurt LeDuc brought it from the East Coast. Robbie Gordon, Walker Evans came from the West Coast. Everybody wants to be here at Crandon. We've seen crowds up to 50,000 people in the stands and all around the race facility. I can't wait for it to happen.
And the big thing is the start. You have to negotiate that first turn. It is so important, and our partner Kate Osborne has more.
Imagine lining up against some of your buddies or maybe your worst enemies and seeing a couple of waist-high rollers standing between you and 100 mile an hour first turn. Well, no one knows it better and has done it better than Johnny Greaves. Johnny, what is the secret to perfecting this land rush start?
You know, I don't know if there really is a secret. Everybody's had their own theory or their own style, but you know, so much of it depends on where you're lined up on the start, and it's all based on points. So, right, fast guys, they're going to line up on the outside. Probably the worst place to be because these rollers are shoulder height right there. The guys that probably aren't the fastest, they're on the inside. They have the best line, the fastest line to turn 1. What happens is a guy like me, if I get off the line good, well, I'm going to try to clear that second roller. And if I can clear that clean and grab gears and catch these guys that are hauling butt down the inside, and we're drag racing into turn 1, and I look over, there's only 2 or 3 of them even with me, I'm just going to hold it wide open in turn 1, go around the outside, maybe on 2 wheels, maybe on 4 wheels, I don't know. It's a crapshoot, but the start is so key here at Crandon, and you can win races and lose races, but I go for the win. Don't lift.
Well, it sounds simple enough to me. Don't lift. We'll see how it turns out here at Crandon.
Thanks a lot, Kate, and you see the fans come out here in a big way at Crandon. We will see 3 classes of race trucks, the Pro Lights, the Pro 2-wheel drives, as well as the Pro 4-wheel drives, Ricky. It's an exciting day. Weather is rolling in at the second, so we have a chance of rain, but I promise you, we're going to kick things off with the Pro Lights, a big class, a very competitive class, but it's been dominated by one driver this season. That's the 41, the Maxxis tire entry of Kyle Hart. We've had 4 races in 2016. He's won 3 of those.
Kyle Hart hasn't been that impressive on big tracks in the past, but he was the fastest qualifier this morning, and so they had a random draw. So you can see here, he gets up on the bicycle. This is down in Texas. He comes back to Chicago. He repeats again. So Kyle Hart is a man on the move right now, and he's the guy to beat in Pro Light.
Yeah, he's won 3 of the 4 races. He's set up for the first of the longer, the more wide open tracks. Did not win here last year, even though he finished second in points. But he's definitely the guy to look for. He's the cream of the crop. Look at the top of the screen. That will be the lineup, the starting grid. We don't line them nose to tail. Here at Crandon, it is different. It's a slightly staggered start as well, Ricky. You can't quite see it, or you can see it. They're a little off kilter.
Right, so what it does, it gives the guy on the inside a little bit of an advantage, and that's what Johnny was talking about. Typically, in the other classes, we're going to see the inversion with points in the top 6. So right now, Cowboy has run by. They're in gear. They are ready to go. They're waiting for Face Esty to drop that green flag, and it's door to door all the way into turn 1.
The nerves have to be unbelievable for the motocross riders, the motocross fans, for the racers that are on the track right now that have done motocross starts. That's about as close as you're going to get. But in motocross, you're not going 100 miles an hour, and you're not generally in an off-camber right-hand turn going 100 miles an hour.
And in motocross, a lot of guys will try to save themselves because they're not protected with a roll cage. Here, everybody's wide open. They go completely, and you see Dismore on the inside with Cam Ramers peeling it off from the 3rd spot.
I see somebody squaring up that outside. It's the guy who's won 3 times this year, Kyle Hart. The 41 takes the lead. You're right. Reimers, that motor was hooking up. Dinsmore was on an inside. He still holds on to 3rd.
And that's exactly what Johnny Greaves said, is that he's not going to lift going in there. We saw Kyle Hart come around the outside of Cam Ramers, and he pulls the whole shot, and now he's out in front. But one of the biggest things for these drivers to deal with is the roost. We see some guys bumping back and forth, Travis Pecoy and Luke Johnson. But right now, it's all about Kyle Hart first place and the race for 2nd place between Dinsmore and Ramers.
And success from both of these guys. They've won here in Crandon before, so they know how to get it done. But really, the Pro Light division, that 41, even in qualifying earlier today, that truck is really set up well. Marty Hart, his father, a legendary quad racer, turned into off-road racer. He's been putting so much focus in his son instead of worrying about himself racing nowadays.
Exactly, and that's where Marty's at, and I'm kind of doing the same thing with Luke as well. But it's not 100%. Oh, I just want my son to do well. I'm done racing. Same thing with Marty. But the time is right. The tide has changed. It's time for the next generation to move on up. And right now, Kyle Hart is doing a great job.
Kyle Kleiman, the 42, up in the mix as well. Trying to find your favorite driver out there. Somebody moving. Is that Jake Lunderby in 4th maybe now up inside that top 5?
Lunderby in 4th, and right behind him is one of the climbers. Then behind him is Luke Johnson. So if you look right now, this is Kyle Hart going into turn 1. He's breaching probably with the Pro Light, probably about 80 to 90 miles an hour as they come through there. And it's slightly off camber, Robbie. So with the driver on the left side hanging down low, it does feel a little bit sketchy when you're going around there.
And I think the vision also, you saw that camera shot. If you can't see it looking through your television, what do you think that those drivers are dealing with on the track? And you're not having to deal with those rocks being shot at you as well.
Well, it's a snowblower with dirt filling your cab full of dirt.
Very well
run
said.
rock screens and stuff like that to protect the drivers from being hit, because some guys have been knocked out, some guys have had shoulders dislocated, so bad things can happen when rocks come flying at you at 100 miles an hour. But the biggest thing is when you go out, you see the trucks lean, you see the suspension start to droop out on the inside tire, and when you're down on that low side on those right-hand corners, you can't see around the next corner, so you have to get your vision up and around the next corner.
We also have a competition caution after the 5th lap. This is a 9-lap race, but after that 5th lap, they bring them in, then we'll line them up nose to tail and start the 2nd half of this race. I'm looking at the truck in 3rd, the Sleeko entry. He won twice here in Crandon last year, and he likes this track. You can tell in his driving style, that truck's hooked up, whatever it takes. He is fast. Travis Dinsmore here is in Crandon.
Yeah, the crew on that truck has done it with Sleeko, have done a great job getting him around this track, and he's been very, very fast set up between his. It's a whole combination. It's not just motor, because everyone has to run the same size motor, but it's a combination of transmission and gearing and all the different stuff. And a lot of times Travis has been one of the fastest guys out here. You can see the roost as it's blasting off there. Now you got to remember, folks, though, the radiator's in the back. It's not in front because of that. They started racing at first with the radiators right in front like stock cars. They started blowing them out of the cars. So now the radiators are in the back of the cab, and they still take a hell of a beating.
A little bit of a bobble from Cam Reimers. That's going to enable Dinsmore to close up, and Lunderby's still not too far behind as well. Dinsmore goes to the inside. He's got to get at least half of a truck even with him. That's the shortest way, but it bogs the motor down, and it looks like that's the case. Reimers able to use that horsepower on the outside.
Yeah, if you can keep your momentum up, especially in these. Oh, Kyle Hart with a big bicycle. Sorry about jumping on you like that, Robbie, but Kyle Hart with a big bicycle. He saves it, holds on to the lead, and now we see Dinsmore passing Cam Reimers for 2nd place.
And you see him set up in that turn. Right when he made that pass, he set up in the air to cut right across the front. We'll see if Reimers has anything for him. But Travis Dinsmore out of Paris, Ontario, Canada, the Arturo Tire entry, and that's one thing we haven't haven't talked about is the tire battle we have going on. Max is out in front and Arturo in second, but these are the same tires that you and I would go to your store and buy and put on our SUV truck, so have you.
Exactly. So 1, 2, 3. We got Maxis, Arturo, and Cooper all right up there. And here we see Lunderby starting to make a move towards the front. So he's getting antsy there behind Cam Reimers, and he's looking for a way around. That's the old CJ Greaves truck, and he's got a fender on him. If he can get a good run on it, he might have a shot around the outside. A very aggressive move by Lunderby. He sticks it down in there on the outside, and he does not pull it off. Cam Reimers holds on to third place.
And Lunderby squaring it up, trying to go an outside-inside move, and it may happen. He does cross over, and now he's in a perfect position to shut the door on Cam Reimers. So he's in his ear, and I think he told him some good info right there.
Definitely, and CJ, we'll talk about him later in the Pro 2 and Pro 4-wheel drive, who set a new unofficial track record in practice, so he knows his way around here. He's been testing here, so for Lunderby to have somebody like, CJ Greaves in your ear and also helping you, it's invaluable.
Now I'm seeing Kyle Kleiman starting to get into that mix as well, back in fifth. He might have been sitting back a little bit, but now with only 5 laps to go, the next time around they should get the competition caution, or after the 5th lap is complete. This is a 9-lap race. Kyle Kleiman looked so fast when we saw him in Chicago. So he's been fast this year, but consistency's been his problem.
Right, and with this track, it's so spread out, and if you make one small mistake, it can turn into a 2-second deficit when it comes to a lap and stuff like that. So the race gets a lot more spread out, but we are going to be going to competition yellow, and we'll bring these guys back together, and that's when you're going to see some interesting things happen. We're going to put a little bit of pressure on Kyle Hart by Dinsmore, and then Lunderby's going to want to get up there as well. So great racing going on right now.
I think it's really important, Kleiman, if he's able to get by Cam Reimers, I know Cam's going to try and hold him off, but Kleiman, if he can get by Reimers, it gives him such an advantage the second half of this race. One guy you don't have to fight with. And there it is. The competition caution is out. Hart leads Dinsmore, Lunderby in third. There goes Reimers and Kleiman rounding out the top 5. We'll have the back half of the Pro Lights right after this. Welcome back to Crandon, Wisconsin for TORC, the Off-Road Championship. The Arturo Tires Pro Light. We're in the back half of this race. The competition caution has flown. There's the starting cone between that one and the next one. Kyle Hart can get on the throttle. Green flag means go. And he is trying to check out of this one. But watch out for Travis Dinsmore, a winner 2 times here at Crandon last year, trying to win in 2016.
Well, the last lap, Dinsmore was 0.3 of a second faster, and he was consistently faster than Kyle Hart. But now, was Kyle Hart playing possum? Hold him back a little bit, because you can see very aggressive at the beginning. Dinsmore going a little bit high, exiting low, and Lunderby right on the backside of Dinsmore.
And a great move by Cam Reimers behind Lunderby. He tucked that very, very inside, saying, you guys battle out there, I might sneak my way in. And that inside to out move, he actually made up ground there.
Yeah, well, you can see the guys are bumping around back and forth, so they're all over the top of each other, but a great race for 4th place.
And it looks like we might have Kleiman. Yeah, he's closed out that spot. There's Sean Morris. Remember him winning just a couple of years ago in Crandon. Is so emotional. His only win in the TORC series as far as the Pro Lights are concerned. Track's starting to dry out just a little bit, but perfect racing conditions.
Yeah, right now it's really good. We're seeing a little bit of dust, but honestly the drivers blow through that. It doesn't affect them. So they've done a great job with this Crandon track, and hopefully this weather holds out for us.
You identify the track by the turns. This is the hairpin. It looks like Travis Picoy goes to the inside, making a pass there, and this leads you into that straightaway with those big rollers, waist high as you saw with Kate, and this very, very spooky right-hand first turn.
And here we're back to Kyle Hart. We see right on the back of Dinsmore, as we talked about, and Dinsmore looking to the inside. So we've seen Kyle Hart bicycle a couple times. So if Dinsmore pushes him really hard, and now he's right up on his bumper, we could see some great action here.
Where's that bicycle come from? Is it too much side bite the way that the tires cut?
Well,
I mean, how is it suspension setup? Maybe he's rolling too much?
What you got is you got to make it so that the truck is very supple and it wants to mold to the glom to the ground, but for traction. But when you do that, it takes away side stability. So when you lean into you see the truck lean like that, and when he flicks it sideways, it wants to grab the side of the tire and want to bicycle you. So you can see the truck rocking back and forth. That's the sway bar working the chassis back and forth.
Stiffer sway bar plants into the ground a little more, but at times you want that thing to be loose and be able to bring it around.
You have to, and that's the art of driving in off-road, and that these trucks are not planted.
Oh.
A safe truck is a flat truck. We saw Kyle Hart bang up against the outside wall, trying to open it up for his exit. And here we see Dinsmore looking down the inside, looking on the inside, looking on the outside. But let's back to that thought is a flat car is a safe car, but a loose car side to side. And I hate to quote Days of Thunder, loose is fast, and it's very true. If you get a truck that has great traction, that's what's going to get you down the straightaway.
Now we've got a drag race. Look at the 41, Kyle Hart in front, the Sleeko entry out of Canada in second, getting a faceful. And that's another thing about that straight. You don't want to be lined up directly behind the guy in front of you, or you're just going to get a mouthful of dirt.
Right, you can see that the main line is sort of getting all pushed off. Everything's off to the side. It's getting more blue groove, but you can see the roost and see how it leans on that right rear tire of Kyle Hart, and that's what's giving him the traction. But he was a little out too far in the cushion, and now Dinsmore makes a run coming down into the gravel pit.
And these trucks, the Enduro Tire Pro Lights, they need to keep momentum up more. That's why they're way high. As we progress in the faster trucks, the more horsepower, they're able to go lower and try and dive bomb into the inside.
Right, and you can use some of it, but momentum is your friend. So you might be a little bit slower from the entry to the corner to the exit, but it's going to give you a couple more mile an hour on the exit to help you down that straightaway. And right now, what I like about what I'm seeing from Kyle Hart is he's not making mistakes. He's driving his own race. He's not changing his line. He has his father, Marty Hart, in his ear telling him what's going on. A little bit loose right there, but Kyle running a very, very solid line. It's going to be very hard to get around him.
He finished third, Kyle Hart did, in the first race in Chicago. That's because he had a flat tire during the race. He changed it, still finished third. If not, we'd probably be talking about a 4-race sweep so far with Kyle. He's been very strong, but not perfect. At the last round, he was having some issues with his brakes. They were overheating. Dad said, okay, let's just change the fluid out. It seemed to have solved the problem. As we see the pressure now, the 27 of Sean Morris now trying to get up there to Cam Reimers. A good inside turn, and when Reimers gets squirrely, Sean's going to get that forward drive, and I think we might have a pass, but Reimers on the inside.
Reimers looking to the inside, and that's a very, very strong move. And now you notice he's in the cushion. That helped him around. And we saw Reimers on the inside, on the blue groove, got a little more sideways, and now Sean moved over to the outside to take away the cushion once again. So far cushion to the left, far cushion to the right. So great job by Sean Morris and that Kenza Tires entry.
And you see some of the drivers that those are not defensive moves. They're just trying to prepare themselves in a little bit better position. Nice travel, nice attitude in the truck there. Earlier today, I saw some of the lights getting nose down getting off some of these jumps, and it's just a condition of the course. The white flag comes out, one more lap to go, and in about a minute 25, 26-second laps, it's almost over. Can he hold on?
Well, yeah, and he's going to have to make a mistake, and I'm not trying to jinx him, but the way he's driving, Dinsmore has to do everything absolutely perfect. He's going to have to make a small mistake, and he does. He goes for a slight push through there. Something happened to Kyle Hart. Now that gives Dinsmore a run going down into the hairpin.
One more time into the hairpin. This is a very pivotal turn because it sets you up for that straightaway. We saw what happened with Morris and Reimers. Both drivers through there quick. And now maybe you try and set up on that outside to get a good drive. He is all up in his business. You get behind him because you know that's the fast line around. It might be painful, but you deal with it. Look at this. We're going to have a race in this big left-hand barn sweeper.
The key is going to be the gravel pit here, Robbie. And so what Dinsmore needs to do is have a very solid, and he bicycles just a little bit. That could have taken the race away from him. So I don't think, and he swaps again. So he is not going to be able to make that pass on Kyle Hart unless Kyle makes a huge mistake. And right now, that is something that Kyle Hart has not done all year long, is make a mistake.
The big Walker Evans legendary leap coming up next. They launch off of this jump, and yeah, I think that Dinsmore is just going to have to settle for second. There it is, the Amsoil finish line just ahead. One more turn, and it might be our 5th race, but 4th win for Kyle Hart in the Maxwell Century, number 41. A solid drive by Dinsmore in 2nd, Blunderby in 3rd, followed by Kleiman in 4th.
TORC, the off-road championship, is brought to you by Amsoil, devoted to protection. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. And by Cooper Tires, we make tires for people, not just cars.
An incredible start to 2016. Kyle Hart with another victory, this time at the Big House.
Kyle Hart, 4 out of the 5 races you have won here in Pro Light. You had the whole shot there. You're maintaining your line. You had a great race, but there were a couple of times you bicycled. How close were you to losing it, especially knowing Travis Dinsmore was pushing you?
You know, that's all I could hear on the radio was, he's right there, push it, be aggressive. He was just on me the whole time not to back down, and you couldn't because it was +1 the whole race. So he was right there, so there was no slacking up, but it was an awesome battle. He kept it clean, hats off to him for that. But to be doing this great, I'm just so happy to be doing this good on these 4 out of 5. But couldn't be here without all the help from all my sponsors, Maxxis, AMSoil, ATD, Dynamic, and everyone else, Fiberworks. Thank you so much.
Kyle Hart, first place here in Pro Light at Crandon.
Yeah, I'd be smiling too if I had a start to my year like he's had as we look at the final results in the Turo Tires Pro Light. Dinsmore gave him a run for his money. Lunderby worked his way into that 3rd spot. I think this is one of my favorite classes to watch all year.
Well, it's so close. The vehicles are close, and I love seeing these young guys and the excitement. You get some of the veterans up there, and they're like a little bit callous and this and that. But I love the enthusiasm of these young guys.
Definitely the future of our sport comes through Pro Light. Speaking of that, let's go to 2nd place. He had a chance for the win, but he matches that 2nd Chicago. That's Travis Dinsmore.
Travis Dinsmore looking a little tired climbing out of that truck. You pushed Kyle hard. He even said you raced him clean. Hats off to you. Did you have anything for him today?
Oh, I think I did. The biggest problem I was fighting was I couldn't see through turn 1. That was a big issue for us. So we were just kind of guessing, looking for that blue wall on exit. And I think we were faster than Kyle, particularly down on the barn turn, down at the far end. I got inside him a few times. I just couldn't finish the deal. I was really just hoping for him to make a mistake, but he didn't make too many, and so he beat us. But tomorrow's a new day, so we're going to take care of that. You know, I'd love to thank my family and my crew for coming out here and helping me out. These guys just busted their butts for us. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Sleeco Plastics, Turo Tires, VP Fuel, Mud Muncher, Rugged Radios, Ultra Wheels, and anybody else that I forgot that's really helped us out this year. Thanks, guys.
Travis Dinsmore in 2nd, definitely getting after it here in Crandon tomorrow.
Exactly right, Kate, as we take a look at the championship point standings after the 5th round here and more separation between Hart, Morris, Dinsmore, Johnson, Reimers. That 32 to 42 range, 2nd to 5th, is extremely tight, but they're going to have to do something to catch up with Kyle Hart.
Something bad is going to have to happen. And once again, I'm not trying to jinx him, but something bad has to happen for Kyle Hart because he's won 4 out of 5. And he's still on a roll. He's not showing any signs of weakness.
Well, something good happened to Jake Lunderby. He finishes 3rd, his best finish of 2016.
Yeah, you just got an applause there from the people beside him. Congratulations on 3rd. Jake Lunderby, you told me earlier today you wanted to run consistent laps. You felt like you didn't have enough seat time, but you were just going to go after. How did you do today?
I thought I did pretty well. There's still a few mistakes, but just keep working and make my way to the top.
All right, there you have it. Jake Lunderby, 3rd place here at Crandon.
The young gun always trying to learn something when you're on the racetrack. Now it's time for you at home to learn something with this week's TORC Tech.
Well, we're talking about the lifeblood of these race trucks. We got to talk about AMSoil, the first in synthetic. I'm here with Jeremy Myers. Jeremy, you've been with AMSoil for a long time, and AMSoil has been in racing and many different things.
Yeah, you know, it goes way back into the 70s. You know, we started out with Bobby Unser coming out, and then it just progressed over the years. Heavy and power sports, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, and then obviously cars and trucks over the last several years.
But what are some of the demands that off-road brings? Because we have very high RPM, we have the dirt that clogs up the radiator, so high temperatures and stuff like that. How do you learn from that?
We learn from the extremes. We do a lot of testing with the guys that we work with, from Scott Douglas to Brad Lovell, Chad Ord, everybody that we work with here in the pits. We can adjust our products to fit their needs.
Well, they say they're first in synthetic, but today they want to be first on the track. Let's talk to his driver, Brad Lovell. Brad Lovell, what does AMSoil mean to you as far as a sponsor? Obviously, they've been with you for a lot of years.
What AMSoil means most to me is it's authentic. It's just absolutely authentic. They're out here involved in racing. They're building quality products, and it's not a bunch of lipstick and posters and stuff like that.
But you've used it in multiple applications. You've won King of the Hammers, you've won Pro Light Championships, you've raced the Baja 1000. What does having a top grade or the top grade oil in your motor mean to you in those situations?
Well, it's exactly what you need in those types of situations. You can't go out and take the type of time and money and effort and put it into those races without knowing that you have the best protection.
That's Brad Lovell, past Pro Light champion, currently 3rd in points. Let's see if he can get to the top of the box.
And there they are lined up on the starting grid. Brad Lovell, he's going to be one of those guys in the AMSoil truck. Speaking of Brad, the faces of the Pro 2-wheel drive coming up. Who's going to take it here in Crandon? That's the big question. The man on the mission this year so far has been Keegan Kincaid. Welcome back to Crandon, Wisconsin, the Big House Brawl. This is it, the epicenter of short course off-road racing for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. And there's the man who has won 3 out of 4 races in 2016 in the Pro 2-wheel drive, and he's the local Keegan Kincaid. And when I say local, I mean he literally lives just around the corner. I mean, he goes to Duck's Bar and eats prime rib on Thursday night. But on Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, he's all about racing, Ricky, and he has been super dominant.
Well, and Keegan is one of those guys. He comes from a great racing heritage. Everybody from his uncle Steve to, you know, God bless his father who just recently passed away, but his father Jeff, who won so many Pro Light championships, teammates, also so many Pro 2 wins. So he comes from a great lineage of racers. But as you said, he's so committed. He's been successful in Pro Light. He's done very well in the Robbie Gordon Off-Road Series, and now he's the guy to beat in this Pro 2 division.
And here we go, the Pro 2-wheel drives. They're locked in gear. I saw somebody nudge just a little bit forward. Who's going to get the start in Pro 2-wheel drive? Ari Leindyke Jr. with a good jump. The second from the inside, the Gunkmobile. He's got his big motor, but watch the Traxxas entry on the outside. Keegan Kincaid.
Keegan runs it in really hard on the outside, and he just opens up the corner and lets Ari have the line. But right now, Keegan Kincaid with the whole shot.
And I say Ari's got his big motor. He actually had to switch motors in Chicago, but that was the motor he'd planned on having at Crandon. Well, it's Crandon. You need a big motor here and high horsepower, and Keegan, just as 2 drivers we've seen on the outside drive around, very much like Johnny talking about it in the open.
Now breaking into the top 3 is CJ Greaves. We were talking about him earlier. He goes high, comes down low, takes a look on the inside of Ari Leindyke Jr., but does not stick the pass. So right now, Keegan Kincaid has about a 4-truck length lead. And here we see CJ Greaves to the inside, works his way out, and slide pass. Great job, CJ Greaves in second place. So the idea, you got your spotter letting you know you're not clear, still there. Now you're clear.
And
go.
No contact right there as well. Rick, that was a perfect slide job. Now it's up to him to close in on Keegan. This big sweeping turns. Again, the track is prepped in between each race. Whoa, somebody's like Nick Tyree getting a little squirrely there. And he's going to lose 1, now 2 positions. Brad Lovell gets by. Van Efferen gets by.
The race is already starting to spread out a little bit. You can see that the track is in great condition. Obviously, the top of the berm is very soft and the roof is pretty big. But what the drivers can see, they can see absolutely perfectly down the straightaways.
Look at all the dirt, the dust. There's Brad Lovell having to do an engine change as well. I heard had a valve problem, so they had to switch motors, didn't even want to chance it. Van Efferen just behind him. Rodney Van Efferen, a super buggy champion. The guy was dominant in that class. His good old friend Johnny talked him into Pro 2s, and now he's here, and he really looks competitive right off the bat.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. It's awesome to see MMI out here supporting the racers, because a lot of people, you know, they're looking for a train. That's a great place to go to learn to work on bikes.
The Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. There's the Traxxas number 7, and the Monster Energy 33 sneaks into the picture. So just when you think Kincaid might pull away, CJ's going, not going to happen.
Exactly. And we talked earlier, CJ had the unofficial track record yesterday in practice. So right now he's made up a lot of ground. He's looking to the inside, looking to the outside. So CJ Greaves looks like he has the winning combination, but he has to get by. It's one thing to catch somebody here, but you eat so much roost, it's hard to pass him. So let's see if he looks to the inside or the outside.
Last year, CJ Greaves in Pro 2-wheel drive, which he won the championship, had 6 victories, 12 podiums, an unbelievable season. It came down to the wire, though, between these 2 guys at this particular track at that fall race.
Keegan is very aggressive, very hard on the gas, and CJ, a little bit more motorcycle background, seems to have a little bit more finesse, doesn't drive quite as sideways, but both of them are unbelievably fast nonetheless. We got a Toyota and a Ford out there, so these guys are going back and forth, and they're so evenly matched, you can throw a blanket over them.
CJ with 6 victories last year. Keegan Kincaid also with 6 wins, 1 less podium. And he's trying to get that drive on the inside. But right now, is CJ setting him up, trying to, you know, say, hey, I'm testing the limits on this inside?
What I like is CJ's able to get a better drive on the inside. Here he looks around, because right now the line that Keegan is running is absolutely textbook. He's using the cushion on the entry and sometimes all the way through on the exit. But CJ's able to run down below him and carry more speed. So he can match Keegan's speed and not have to run the cushion. So as this cushion gets blown up higher and higher, I think you can see more opportunities for CJ Greaves to pass Keegan down low.
As they head into the hairpin, one of the sharpest, fastest turns you will see, because they are literally flying. That is a Tomer higher than the truck's roof as they make that sweeping left and now down the straightaway. CJ with a little bobble coming out of that turn.
Well, what I'm thinking of CJ is going to be looking at the gravel pit. He was very fast down there, so if he can get right up on the backside of Keegan Kincaid, see how Keegan's a little bit more sideways? He doesn't quite have the back drive as CJ, and CJ's able to run a little bit lower. So if he can get close, look for a slide job down in the gravel pit, and we see, oh, Keegan with a little bit of a push.
CJ's closing in.
Here.
CJ's closing in. This is where you thought it would happen. CJ's got a good drive on the outside. There he goes, squares it up. Tries going to the inside, trying to take the line. No, he gives him opportunity, or does he?
Great clean racing right there. CJ had the line. A lot of drivers would just came up, done a slide job, and knocked the guy. I probably would have too, so I got to admit that. But right now, these two drivers respect each other. They've grown up with each other, racing Pro Light, now racing Pro 2. So a great job of racing. And also, let's go back another generation with Jeff Kincaid and Johnny Greaves doing the exact same thing all the way through the ranks, and really had some unbelievable duels when they were teammates when it came to Pro Light. So second generation drivers out there mixing it up and running away from the field.
Quite a few father and son duos here, and we'll see Johnny Greaves in the Pro 4-wheel drive the next race here. But CJ trying to get by. CJ, the 20-year-old out of Wisconsin, the defending Pro 2 and Pro 4-wheel champion. I mean, they've got like a 10-second lead over third place. Keegan Kincaid's from right around the corner here in Crandon. He's 26-year-old, so a couple of 20-somethings are the fastest in the world in Pro 2-wheel drive on the best track in the world.
And the reason they're so far out in front is because Keegan's not worried about CJ. He knows CJ's a great racer, and here we see Brad Level coming up, and he's about 10 seconds back in third place. Nothing against him, but those two drivers are out in front and just racing as hard as they can. Here we see Keegan run down a little bit lower, down, and this is down lane 3.
So did the 7.
Exactly, so the 2 run down low, and it works out well for Keegan Kincaid. So
how much was that Keegan, or how much was that spotter saying, hey, you gave him way too much room that last time?
No, what happened was Keegan saw him down there and realized that he can't open it up so much. And we talked about that, and we've talked about how there's 5 lanes of racing right now. Those two guys are running lanes 2 and 3, or actually 3 and 4, and that's where the cushion is, and that's what's giving CJ Greaves that little bit of run coming off. And we see Keegan with the back wheels high up in the fluff, getting drive coming out. I love this race going on right now.
And listen to the sound of those trucks, too. Nothing like pure horsepower in that dirt. All right, I think we got a chance here. CJ goes underneath, and Keegan's just too wide, and they both hook up.
And they hook into each other. CJ looks around him. Now they're trying to back.
You know who's closing in is Brad Lovell.
Brad Lovell's loving this right now, but you can see their lead is so far in front. And Keegan, and here comes Brad Lovell. He's going to sneak his way in there, and that's what we talked about. This it's full contact racing. So that I don't think he was trying to hook up there.
No,
it's a little bump, and they ran over each other's tires. But now we have a race going.
They got wedged and stuck. I mean, they just a little contact when those tires get in that position, and you can get hung up. It just did happen.
Where's the water truck when you need it? You know what I'm saying? But right now, Keegan a little frustrated, goes off the line a little bit. You can see the potholes start to come up, and here comes CJ back after him. And remember, we have not gone to competition yellow yet, so we're going to bunch these guys back up, but it's coming up as we speak.
Yeah, after lap 5, competition caution comes out, and they'll regroup and restack. Was there any damage to either one of these guys' truck? Because if there is, they need to identify it so they can change it during that competition caution time. Red and yellow is the caution. Keegan Kincaid leads CJ Greaves. A much tighter battle now with Brad Lovell, but it makes no difference. We're going to set them up nose to tail here for the back half of the race. What happened here into the hairpin? It looks like CJ's... Was it Keegan just turned into him a little too much?
No. What happened was when CJ came in, they were door to door. When they accelerated, it put him slightly in front of Keegan. When Keegan accelerated, I think he got more traction than he anticipated, and that shoved his wheel right under the front of CJ Greaves. So it really wasn't a dirty move. It was just a racing incident. But what's great is neither truck, we can see both of them don't have flaps. We see a little bit of body damage on Keegan Kincaid, but the truck is working fine. Suspension is working good. We're all good.
We're halfway through this Pro 2-wheel drive race. Don't go anywhere. As we look at Keegan Kincaid leading CJ Greaves, Brad Lovell, nose to tail, Rodney Van Eperen, Nick Tyree. There's a lot of fast trucks in this race in the Pro 2 wheel drive. Only one can win it. The fastest this year has been Keegan Kincaid, won all but one. The other race was CJ Greaves. Rain is still in the forecast. I thought I heard a little thunder just a second ago, but man, we are ready for an exciting second half of Pro 2 wheel drives. The bodywork on CJ's truck might cause trouble if it's flying in the air, but it will not cause him any problems, as now the green flag is out. 4 laps to go in Pro 2.
Very impressive on that last lap, even though the two front drivers got hooked up with each other. The fastest man on the track was Van Eperen with a 2:23. So you can see that the two drivers are breaking away from the crowd already. And now we see CJ Greaves looking to the inside. I don't think he's going to be as nice. I bet he opens it up out into that lane.
And the fastest lap of the race, CJ Greaves, a 1:20.82. Side by side, CJ's going to go outside to in, hit that cushion. Watch for the dive to the inside. There's the crossover. And Keegan just played it perfectly. Took all of that real estate up.
Well, and it wasn't intentional. I mean, he's just driving as much as he can. And I've driven the Pro 4s and the Pro 2s, and we see CJ leaning on him. Sometimes you use the bumper a little bit to try to frustrate the guy. You're not trying to knock him out or anything like that. You're just using everything that you can to get by. But it's very taxing on the truck and the driver to sit there and take the dirt in the face all day long.
And the thing is, when you see, you know, maybe Keegan go in the inside trying to block that, doesn't want somebody to dive, but he's got to exit with more speed. What happened there?
All of a sudden he comes around, he might have pitched a belt. We see
he lost power.
Kincaid just pulls over. So what might have happened is when he came in, it looks he might have lost a belt or something like that. Because what happens if all of a sudden your oil pressure light goes on, you lose oil pressure. So now a very hard break for Keegan Kincaid. You can see his net up, he's shaking his head in disgust because something doesn't happen that quick typically.
Let's go to Kate.
Well, that was quite a race and battle for Keegan initially, and he lost power. What happened?
Yeah, transmission gave away on him. He said there's nothing left on it. So unfortunate, you know, we had to lead here and they had to catch us. So, but that's racing.
Jeff Kincaid, guys.
So it wasn't the motor, but it was the drive, the transmission. So there was a weak link somewhere, but we just saw him have to shut it down.
Yep, we also saw Nick Tyree off to the side. We saw the gray truck, a little glimpse there. So a lot happens when these restarts, you know, you're out there running really hard. We can see that the door is gone. You think, oh, this might be a big problem. It's just cosmetic, folks. There's nothing hurting CJ Greaves' truck. Obviously, you can see how fast he's going. But what happens is you get running so hard, especially here at Crandon, you barely ever let off. You can see as he gets a little bit of air there, you just breathe the throttle just a speck, and you're on it so hard, and the transmission temps just go through the moon. Very impressed with Rodney Van Eperen. He's getting faster and faster every week. Obviously, Johnny Greaves is helping him out, built that chassis. I talked to Johnny, he said, hey, come check this thing out. I built it, you know, from the ground up, so it's very similar to CJ's chassis, even a couple more modifications and updates. So it's great to see that guys like Johnny Greaves are sharing their wealth of knowledge and helping drivers out. And you can see how fast Van Eperen making a step from a buggy to a Pro 2 is huge. It's not, I mean, they're nothing like each other. Yes, you're going around the track. Yes, you're slinging dirt. And we see him get a little bit sideways there. But for him to make the jump into the Pro division to Pro 2 and running this well, great job by him and his crew.
The pedal brake, instead of the hand brake, the CCs to cubic inches. I mean, it's just, I can't even fathom what he's dealing with, but he's doing it very well. And staying in the picture, the white flag comes out at that AMSOIL finish line. One more to go here at Pro 2-wheel drive. CJ Greaves leads by about 3.5, making 5 seconds now with one more lap to go. Brad Lovell in second, Rodney Van Eperen in third. DeGrave, a late entry, the 72 truck in fourth.
So right now, you can almost feel CJ hearing gremlins and keep going. Don't break on you. You got that big of a lead. You want to make sure that you keep it rolling. So CJ Greaves doing a great job, and then we're going to see him in just a moment, also in Pro 4. So Pro 4-wheel drive. So right now, CJ Greaves in that monster Toyota doing a great job. The guys from Method Wheels helping that whole team out. So great job to him so far. But the race is not over. Anything can happen because we've seen it happen with Keegan Kincaid.
Maxxis Tires hooking up. The Potawatomi is also one of their sponsors and the sponsor of that first turn here at Crandon. You hear it so often. There's the 33 driving that cushion. The gravel pit, the next obstacle in his way. fiberglass of flatbed, but it sure does make you feel better when you're out in front instead of second, third, fourth, and so on.
Yeah, and then we see the guys behind, but right now it's all about CJ Greaves in this Pro 2. He's the defending champion. That's why he has the red plate, the 33. Now I think this might put him to the points lead, but now we got the checkered flag.
It comes out for CJ Greaves. His season didn't start off right, but boy, it has picked up pace in a hurry. CJ Greaves takes the win in Pro 2. Brad Lovell's going to come across in second. Rodney Van Eperen, his best career finish in Pro 2 in third. We'll talk to CJ and the rest of them right after this at TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by AMSOIL.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars. Bad Boy Off-Road, and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
The defending champion of Pro 2-wheel drive, CJ Greaves, and the Monster 33 takes a victory in Crandon, his second of 2016. Kate?
A bit of a celebration there for CJ. Let's first talk about that incident with Keegan. Can you walk us through it from the start of that?
Yeah, I mean, I apologized to him. I had my guys tell him on the radio, and I drove up to him next to him in the back, and I came inside, and I don't know if he over-rotated or if our Nerf bars got caught together or what, but I was off the gas. All of a sudden, he's stuck on me, and we're both trying to turn away from each other, and then we're both stuck together, and we're both backing up and going forward, and I apologize for him for that. I just meant to go inside, and then something hooked, and we tangled together, but this Monster Energy Toyota Maxxis Forest County Potawatomi Method Race Wheels Fox Shocks truck was on rails today. I mean, they've been beating us a little bit in the beginning of the season, but we definitely got this truck where it needs to be. So I couldn't do it without all my crew, my family, all my friends that come out here to support us, all the guys from Toyota put an excellent engine in this thing. J&H trannies held up, so can't thank everyone enough. Thanks a lot.
CJ Greaves now the points leader here in Pro 2.
As we take a look at the results, CJ, the winner in the Pro 2-wheel drive, Brad Lovell, Rodney Van Eperen, Graves in the 72. Keegan in fifth, so several drivers with some problems here in Pro 2-wheel drive. No problems for CJ Greaves. No problem for Brad Lovell in the 44. He's coming off of 2 third-place finishes, and now Brad Lovell one step higher on that victory podium in second, Kate.
Yeah, the season seems to get better and better for Brad Lovell. Now, it was interesting, earlier today, you guys were dropping in a new motor, you had a valve problem, and here you are on the podium. Did you expect that earlier today?
You know, you never know out here, but I can't tell you how hard my team has worked today on this truck. And all day that we're under the tent, sweating, getting the motor in, and boy, my family's here, and I wanted to do this for these guys. I really did. I wanted to get up on the box, so what a great way to do it, and I'm really proud of our team.
Lovell boys definitely celebrating here in Crandon tonight.
No question, Kate, and he's going to be smiling. He's moving up higher in the points as well. Now only 16 markers behind CJ Greaves, the new leader. Keegan Kincaid, you can have a dominant year and still that one bad race could cost you the championship.
And that's the thing, it could cost you the championship, but you know, people never pay attention to the shots missed in the first quarter. They always pay attention to in the last 10 seconds. And anything can happen in a racing series, and we have a lot more racing to go this year.
Anything can happen, oftentimes it does. And how about this guy in third, a rookie to the Pro 2-wheel drive, Rodney Van Eperen. Yep, I can't call him a rookie anymore, Kate.
Now you sure can't call him a rookie. He is here, and he is here to stay right now. Pro 2, awesome job out there. You were saying to me earlier that there are no bad racers in Pro 2, and you are keeping up with them. What does that make you?
I'll tell you what, it feels good just to run with these guys. That's all I really wanted, is to be racing and in the mix. We were getting greedy. We wanted second. We had a little fuel pressure issue in the last lap, almost shut off, but I'll take third. I'll tell you what, it is just fun racing side by side with these guys. I can't explain it out there.
All right, Rodney Van Eperen, congratulations as a rookie making his first podium here at Crandon.
Thanks, Kate. A smiling Rodney Van Eperen as well as CJ Greaves taking the victory, and we'll see these guys up next. Look at those, the Pro 4-wheel drives, the bad boys. Yep, high horsepower and 4 wheels of fun. The guy who may be the man to beat, the winningest driver in the field, Johnny Greaves. His son's the defending champion, but he learned a thing or two from Pops. Johnny Greaves and the rest of the field of Pro 4-wheel drives are coming up next.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship is brought to you by Maxxis Tires. We know dirt. VP Racing Fuels, the official fuel of TORC. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Welcome back to the Big House, Crandon, Wisconsin, and yes, it's starting to rain, maybe even pouring here as we prepare for the Pro 4-wheel drives. These guys can handle it, though. They have the horsepower. They have all 4 wheels clawing. And I said it may rain. It is raining. But we know we're going to see a brawl in the Big House here. There's CJ Greaves, who, you know, the guy is fast. In practice, a 1:18.685. You know the track record is a 1:19.037. So he beat that. It's not official because it was practice. We'll see if he can do it here in just a second. Speaking of CJ, it wasn't too long ago, a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, he finished second, and he was not too happy with the winner, Scott Douglas.
You know, I'm young. I remember some people got one coming now. I checked up a bunch. He over-rotated. I checked up, stayed out of him. I don't get that respect back.
You see, Scott's just whatever, little man. I don't care what you say. I was out there driving, but CJ was definitely voicing his opinion. The 20-year-old was not happy, Ricky, and Scott kind of smiling it off, but he knows the strength that is CJ Greaves, whether he's in a Pro 2 or Pro 4.
Well, you got Scott Douglas, who he's one of those guys that if you hit him once, he's going to hit you twice. If you hit him with 5 pounds, he's going to hit you with 10 pounds. And CJ is a young, aggressive driver. He's working his way up through the field, and he's the defending champion. So you have the clash of the titans there. One guy with the #1 plate, and the other guy that's had it in the past and wants it again. So right now you can see the rain is coming down. You see the drivers are, you know, they're not getting rain on their shields yet, but as soon as they move forward, that's going to play a huge factor because you have to wipe the rain off, and also any little dirt will be sticking to the shield.
This is just the man up above watering the track for us here at Crandon. The Big House Brawl, the first day of 2 in this massive event. There's Cowboy. He's been doing that for, I don't know, we've been doing it for 46 years. He's been doing it for 47. That guy, he has never fallen. Evidently, that is the word crossing in front of those trucks.
When you see him go by, it just puts you in the mode. You get your shield down, you clear everything out. Looking on the far left, we got Ross Hook on the inside. He's in the preferred spot for the whole shot, but CJ Greaves, that truck, that orange and black truck, just 2 away. So CJ and Chad Hort, very strong positions.
Good launch by CJ, who hits the first roller, and looks like the inside might be doing better. You see Johnny on the outside. Oh, somebody's banging. Is that Chad Hort?
Johnny Greaves with a great start from the outside. Kim Brashow coming out, getting in front of Mike Jenkins, holding him up a little bit, but great hole shot by Kim Brashow.
And listen to that, way up there on the cushion, digging in, clawing with all 4 wheels. Brashow, the 2008 winner here at Crandon, in second. Boy, if he could get on that podium again, it's been a long time.
And this is not a gimme. This is not like he just inherited that. He had to race his way down to that first turn. That truck is somewhat 20-some years old, and it's still competitive because it's a very, very strong, a little bit heavier than the newer trucks, but still a very, very fast Pro 4-wheel drive.
He's hooked up like a tow truck. You see Johnny Greaves. I saw him in practice, and that guy didn't put a wheel wrong. I mean, the second he took off from the starting line, he was on point. CJ might have had the quickest lap in practice, but that dude, he was doing what he wanted to do with that truck.
What surprised me this morning is CJ did not run practice, and now we see him. He's back quite a ways. In fact, we don't even see him in the background. There we have Brashow, then we have Jenkins, and then we have Scott Douglas, and then behind him is Ross Hook, bringing up, rounding out the top 5.
Where is CJ Greaves? He's way, way, way back there. But Mike Jenkins, he is looking strong again. That truck came alive the past few rounds. He had a power steering issue in Texas, but he's not closing in on Brashow.
But number 8, Ken, White Lightning Brashow. I gotta love it, man. Back in the 80s and stuff, everybody had a nickname. I think some guy had Bad Boy or 2-Hit back in the day.
I thought you were Grease Lightning and he was White Lightning.
Well, White Lightning in the number 8 Pro 4-wheel drive truck doing a great job. It's awesome to see guys come back out here and mix it up. So it's not a gimme. Kim Brashow is running the wheels off of that truck.
Setting it up on the outside, a little Scandinavian flick, trying to get that truck set up there. Now Scott Douglas starting to put the pressure on. And we saw that Traxxas entry with his brother driving it. Mark Jenkins is one of the best finishes ever. Oh, and he come in very steep there. The closest finish in TORC history was Mark Jenkins' victory over Johnny Greaves. And Scott Douglas was in that mix as well just a couple of years ago.
Well, Mike just seems to get close and then take a shot. This is going to, as fast as these trucks are and as good as the traction is out there, you're going to have to set your pass up. Probably plan for the gravel pit at this point. It's a half a track away, but you're going to have to plan for that move. As we look at this, if we look at the times, Johnny Greaves is blistering fast at a 121.6 and Ken Brasho with a 123. Everybody in the 123, and then Horde, who was way in the back, the 122. But right now the story is Ken White Lightning Brasho.
White Lightning is on it. That back end squatted down there planning. He's got a lot of traction. He's throwing a ton of roost at Mike Jenkins. You can almost hear him in the truck. That is hard pelting dirt coming at you at 70, 80 miles an hour.
Now we see Jenkins go looking to the outside. He gets into the roost a little bit. Brasho pushing a little bit. Jenkins looking down the inside. Look for something to happen up here.
Oh, and it's Larry Pegram over on his hood. New to the Pro 4s. He had one race last year, but new for 2016. He just found out like a week or so ago that he was going to be driving Mark Kwame's truck. And he's on his lid. They're trying to pull him out. He can still maybe pick it up and go and start the second half.
And now Scott Douglas has made his way around Jenkins. Oh, made his way around Jenkins, and now he climbs over the top of Brasho. Looks like it ripped the radiator cap off of Brasho. That's what that steam is coming out. So when he got on top of there, the clock is ticking. That Brasho truck, he's going to have to pull over. He'll blow that thing up. And this was another situation where I don't think Douglas was trying. Oh, and we got a problem with Douglas as well. So that contact definitely hurt both trucks.
Douglas is going to that outside. He doesn't look under full power. Now Mike Jenkins pulling away just a little bit. Brasho, man, I want to see that again in the Pro 4-wheel drive there between Douglas and Brasho. And Douglas, yeah, I think he's just pulling out of that racing line as Ross Hook goes by.
And Ross Hook breaking into the top three and running really, really strong. That's an old Johnny Greaves truck, and Ross is going faster and faster.
Looking at trucks pulling off on the outside, man. Right now, Johnny Greaves is just oblivious to everything going on behind him unless somebody says something to him in his ear. Kate, what do you have on Johnny?
Well, earlier, Johnny was talking about how the fact a manual truck may be better here at Crandon as there's more gear selection. However, he did say once it gets slick, an automatic may be better, which is what Mike Jenkins and Scott Douglas is running. However, right now, Johnny seems to be working pretty well with that manual.
Well, Johnny can run pretty much anything at this point. I mean, he's run automatics, he's run manuals. He loves it because he came from such a strong pro-life background back when they had the 4 cylinders and they ran manual transmissions, and so he likes it. He ran motocross, he's raced supercross, so it's more fun to drive, to be honest with you. But Johnny Greaves has it hooked up. It doesn't matter if it's slick. You know, we talked to him in past shows that sometimes he can short shift it, or sometimes he just revs it out and he bangs down a couple of gears to really blow the tires off to get sideways. But right now, he's got everything in the bag. He's running about, his lap time that time wasn't a lot faster, so he's just going to conserve energy. He's got to make sure that he's got something for the second half and doesn't want to burn anything up, because this track, as I said before, you're on the gas for such long periods, sometimes it can blow stuff up.
He is just driving away from everyone, and there's the competition caution here in Pro 4-wheel drive. Let's take a look at what happened behind Johnny. That battle for second and third between Kent Brasho and Scott Douglas. If my mind serves me correct, somebody wasn't letting off the throttle when they were hooked up. Let's take a look at who it might be.
Brasho gets a little bit loose. And Brasho's coming back around, and then they're up on top of him, and then that rips the radiator cap off the top. And you see one more look. There's a really hard hit on the left, and then you see Douglas go over and around, and then the next thing you see, so all of a sudden he struggles a little bit, and then he pulls out.
So a lot of things happening in the first half of the Pro 4-wheel drive. We still have the second half remaining. Right after this, don't go anywhere for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. There they are lining up for the Pro 4-wheel drive. Back half, the last 4 laps of this Pro 4-wheel drive race. Johnny Greaves, Mike Jenkins, CJ Greaves now up into third. Chad Horde, Ross Hook still in the top 5. You're right, Ross Hook has looked faster here at Crandon. As we see Johnny Greaves with the start. He's the one that sets the pace. Mike Jenkins in second. He takes a little bit lower line, and CJ follows suit.
But Jenkins goes to the inside, does a little bicycle. Now look for some action down in there. Jenkins looking to the inside to protect that line and watch CJ try to run right around the outside. Does a slip job underneath, goes outside in, and he pulls himself into second place. So now we got father and son, first and second, Johnny and CJ Greaves.
Let's go down to Kate Osborne.
Quick note on CJ Greaves, a guy who's battled his way back up to the front here. He actually had limited front drive issues, but now it looks like it's not quite that much of a problem.
No, he's worked his way into third, Kate, so he is having problems again with the front diff, I guess.
Well, sometimes we saw that happen to Johnny Greaves in Dallas, where he would lose front drive back and forth. So in that converter that gives you the drive to your front and back, maybe something wasn't clicking or wasn't warmed up. Who knows what happened at the beginning of the race, but right now you can see that CJ Greaves can run down high, he can run low, he can run pretty much everywhere. And right now the race for third place is 4 wide.
Look at them coming down that whole shot straight away. Somebody diving to the inside. Whoa, Ross Hook's in the sandwich there. And still holding on to position that's a heck of a run by Mike Jenkins, and Ross Hook in the middle there, taking middle ground and still pushing strong. You know, Ross Hook might wind up on the podium. Let's go down to Kate one more time.
Mike Jenkins doing everything he can right now to maintain a podium position. His truck has been battling him all season long. He hasn't exactly known why, but he's been trying to work on it. He said actually yesterday the truck didn't start. The guy stayed up all night long, and right now he said he went back to his prior setup, back to the prior parts that they were using before, and it looks like it's working better than it has all season long.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, the Gremlins can chase you down all day long, but right now the Jenkins truck is running strong. But who I'm really impressed with is Ross Hook.
Yes.
Guy comes out here on a limited budget. He just recently sold his business and he wants to focus more on the racing. And honestly, I gotta say, I might have been one of the doubters of Ross Hook, but he gets faster and faster every week. And right now he's racing with Mike Jenkins and Chad Horton doing a great job. So great job for that ATD Transmissions Pro 4-wheel drive of Ross Hook.
And remember, Chad Horton, who's just behind him now, trying to make a pass on the outside. Chad Horton has already won a race this year to open up the season. Horton goes to the inside, and then Amsoil number 9 slide job takes over the spot.
Great job by Chad Horton, but I'm not taking anything away from Ross Hook. Ross has been racing really hard, and right now we have a race between father and son, first and second. So last year's champion, the current points leader, Johnny Greaves, CJ Greaves, the race is on, buddy.
And Kate talked about the transmissions and the way that they're set up. These trucks are now set up the same, I believe. They have 3 of them. One in that truck, one in the other truck, and one backup. And they are now running the same setup, the new X-Track model. And CJ Greaves, just a few moments ago, has now broken the track record. The 1:19.037 is no more. The fastest lap of the race, a 1:18.865. What a lap by CJ Greaves, and he's knocking on the door with 2 laps to go.
Well, he's going to need a couple more perfect laps like that to get by his father, Johnny, because Johnny's not going to give it to him, not going to move out of the way. He's going to hold his line, and we see a little bit of blue smoke coming out of that number 22 Monster Toyota, and he seems to get a little bit of drive in these long sections, but CJ seems to pull it up coming in on these tighter turns.
Listen to those motors whine. Those are Toyota Racing Development engines. They are fast. They're getting help from Toyota. I'd love to hear the Chevrolet whine in there as well, Ricky.
Oh.
And your lightning bolt, and now something happened with Johnny.
Johnny, something, a big hiccup, and all of a sudden he pulls over to the side. He doesn't let CJ. CJ gets by, and something happened, and now he's back in. He might have lost the ignition because you see the flames coming intermittently. Sometimes when a driver, he can switch from ignition A to ignition B to get it rolling, and now CJ Greaves comes from last with a problem. With 1 lap to go, he's leading this Pro 4-wheel drive.
And Johnny Greaves is the series points leader as the white flag comes out. Johnny has not finished worse than 3rd with 2 victories. CJ Greaves, who started off terrible, a 6th place, a 5th place, a 5th place, but then at the last round in Chicago, a second, and that got him on the right track, and he's definitely on path here to take a victory.
And at this point, Johnny Greaves has not come around to get the white flag. We see that Jenkins is in second, Hook is in third, Chad Hort is in fourth, and Johnny Greaves has not taken the white flag yet. So CJ Greaves, great job looking to sweep here, Pro 2 and Pro 4-wheel drive.
You say that now, but and he knows he doesn't have anybody to worry about, but what happens on one truck could happen to the other. You have to think about that when they're evenly prepared.
Well, you have the biggest monster called Crandon International Speedway that you still have to race around. So you can see how heavy that the cushion is, and that's great for traction, but that's also very hard on parts. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened to Johnny Greaves, but right now CJ Greaves going into the gravel pit with a pretty substantial lead, and now all he's got to do is crawl around, and he's going to sweep both days here at the spring run here in Crandon International Speedway.
Down that launch one more time, one more turn to go. He sees that Amsoil finish line. The checker flag is out, and his first victory in 2016 for the Pro 4-wheel drive. The Maxxis 33 comes from the back to take the win at the last moments.
TORC, the off-road championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Bad Boy Off-Road, and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
There he is, CJ Greaves. He might have been disgruntled in Chicago with a second place. That's not the case here at Crandon. He takes the win in Pro 4-wheel drive. Kate Osborne's with him.
CJ Greaves celebrating as you came down that straight. What a race from you, coming from last to first, breaking your dad's track record set 5 years ago. Walk us through that race.
Yeah, you know, it was my fault on the start. We actually got a really good jump off the gate, and then all of a sudden I grabbed one gear and I was mind fart for sure. And it was like, da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot I got to keep shifting. And they all went by, and Devin was on the radio going, you know, this is going to be a long race, man. Buy your time, buy your time. And made a couple moves early on, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if I caught a rut or we had something disconnect for a minute and spun out, and I was like, all right, now I got my work cut out for me. And we just took it one lap at a time, tried to ease back into it, make sure nothing was broke, and this thing held together. I can't thank them guys at X-Track enough for putting this tranny in this thing, and it turned it into a rocket ship. So wherever Devin is, he deserves all this, man. He's been working day and night. It feels like we've had a year since we've got a win or even had good luck. So really appreciate all the hard work he puts in. And Maxxis, Toyota, they put a killer engine in it. Fox Shocks, Oakley, Method Race Wheels, Monster Energy, my family, my crew, my girlfriend, my sister, everyone that helps me out. Thanks a lot.
Not only a Pro 4 win for CJ Greaves, but making his mark here at Crandon with a new track record.
Feels like forever. It's been 6 races since he's had a victory in Pro 4. Yeah, that seems like forever as we look at the unofficial results with CJ. His first victory in Pro 4 for 2016. Man who has his best finish on the year, the 47, the Traxxas entry of Mike Jenkins down in second.
Here with Mike Jenkins, second place here. This is a big victory for you in and of itself with this truck. You've been working out the gremlins all season long, and you finally figured it out here to have a good run. What really was working for you, and what's been the problem?
Well, Goodwin stayed up on our engine last night with our crew. They were up until 5:30 this morning, and we kind of just went back to the last setup that we had. What we were trying to implement just wasn't ready for it. So we came out here today. It ran strong, it ran reliable. We didn't quite have the speed that the Toyotas do, but this Ford's going to get tuned up tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get it up front.
All right, Mike Jenkins, second place here at Crandon. Best finish of the season for him.
Yeah, you mentioned the guys at Goodwin. They have been working around the clock, and we're on quite a few motors here at TORC, the Off-Road Championship. And you look at the season points standings, it's a lot tighter than it was before this race. Scott Douglas now only 2 markers behind Johnny Greaves as well as Chad Hort. But you see Ross Hook down the list a little bit. His best ever finish in Pro 4-wheel drive. I think I see a tear, Kate.
There might be a tear coming out of his eye. This is a big moment for Ross. Best finish in Pro 4. You've been working hard for this, and actually that race itself was not easy for you.
Actually, this is our 3rd time on the podium, but this is the hardest we've raced for it. We've been taking a conservative road building this truck. We're racing against big dollar programs with very little. We got a little bit of product support from some great companies like AMSOIL, but we're doing this mostly on our own. And to to just get on the podium, compete with these guys. We're on used tires, limited funding, and we can't be any happier about how we did tonight.
We're also definitely getting a little emotional down here for a great finish for him.
So what a race. We saw the strength from two drivers in particular, kicking it off with the Aturo Tires Pro like Kyle Hart with his 4th win of the year, and then CJ Greaves, much like last year, dominating the Pro 2-wheel drives and Pro 4-wheel drives. For Ricky Johnson, Kate Osborne, I'm Robbie Floyd. We'll see you next time at TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by AMSOIL.
If it's stock car blood that runs through your veins, the 2.5-mile oval in Daytona Beach calls your name. If you grew up driving in circles with no fenders on your car, your dreams begin and end in Indianapolis. But if you believe that real racing starts in the dirt, that all 4 wheels don't really need to stay in contact with the ground, and if 4 wide at 100 miles an hour from a standing start sounds like a good idea to you, then today is your lucky day. TORC, the Off-Road Championship, takes over Crandon International Raceway, the mecca of short course, door-to-door, high-flying, top-speed, heart-pounding, non-stop off-road racing. Today, the young phenoms match up against the wily veterans who have so many laps around Crandon in its 45-year history that it might as well be their backyard. But will experience outpace exuberance when the only way through turn 1 is with both the throttle and your courage? Pinned? You're about to find out. TORC at the Big House starts now.
It's partly cloudy, windy with a chance of rain, but I guarantee you're going to see a brawl today. We're in Crandon, Wisconsin for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. Hi everyone, welcome to the Big House, the Big House Brawl. I am Robbie Floyd. This is the 3-time TORC champion, Ricky Johnson. And RJ, we're done with the bull rings, the fish tanks, all that racing in that tight confine. Now we spread it out here at Crandon at the Big House. We have so much more to work with.
If you're a motocross or supercross fan, this is what you're looking for. The races in Chicago, very much like a supercross, tight quarters. Here at Crandon, we start with a land rush start them side by side. They come into the turn at 100 miles an hour. We're going to see some of this racing where they're going to be 5 lanes wide. So the